We are here, and it is the 80s, and welcome to this special Ozzy edition to
Ozzy,
80s Metal Mayhem
Ozzy,
movie and more.
Ozzy, Ozzy,
Ozzy,
Ozzy,
Ozzy,
Ozzy,
Z. That's
Ozzy. I give you the horns, but I'm holding all my Ozzy swag.
yep.
That's an interesting one too, Joe.
That's pretty interesting. I mean, right off the stands, in fact, and I'll probably read some excerpts of it as part of our discussion. Is that a hardcover?
No, this is the tour program from the Ultimate Sin tour.
Oh snap! Wow, that is
It's
so
pretty good.
freaking cool.
Pretty
Cool
good.
beans.
Yeah,
Oh, definitely hold on to that, man.
yeah.
Well, we are going to be talking about Ozzy, the dearly
Yes.
departed who left us, but I believe that he is ruling up there in heaven and making sure everything is cool in hell too. No rest for the wicked
Ah,
with his
with
Blizzard
little
of Oz.
Nicky.
Now, based on our discussions, one of the things I'm going to ask you are specific questions on specific periods because you seem to really know the details of what really
Well, I'm a
defined
huge
him.
Ozzy fan.
Yeah.
And Black Sabbath. I'm a huge Ozzy fan.
Yeah, definitely. And you know the different phases. One of the things I really wanted to ask was, what is your favorite period of his career? What do you think defined Ozzy in terms of his career? What defined him the most? What was the high point of his career?
Without a doubt, his work with Randy Rhoads. Without a doubt. I mean, the first two albums, Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman, which is like one of my all-time favorite albums.
Yeah.
And that's this one right here. Yes.
The Legacy Collection. So they Legacy
remember
Collection.
They still do these things where it's like they just, they do the album and then they'll have like a live stuff or like, tidbits or B-sides and stuff like that, But I've got all that stuff on digital too, But here, you want to see the rest of my CD collection?
Let's go through them, man, and tell me something that you like about each one of them.
Of course, we start with Paranoid.
Paranoid, War Pigs,
which is the greatest metal song of all time.
Fairy Wear Boots.
That
Fairies
is the
Wear Boots.
remaster of Blizzard of Oz, 30th anniversary, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
There's the original CBS release. There's another one. There's the original Diary of Madman release.
Oh,
These are
awesome.
the ones where they had the jewel boxes.
Yeah.
There's sort of like yellow boxes, and the CD was up here, and the jewel box went down here.
Right.
Let's see. Bark at the Moon.
Oh, Jake E. Lee.
Yes.
I love his guitar riff in that.
Now this is Ozzy Osbourne, Randy Rhoads tribute. This is amazing. This is Randy Rhoads, who passed away all too suddenly in 1982.
Right.
And he is probably my favorite guitar player of all time.
Mm-hmm.
You've got No Rest for the Wicked.
Mm.
And then these are the 1995 re-releases.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Blizzard of Oz, Diary of a Madman, Speak of the Devil. So you just saw this earlier. This is like a DVD of Speak of the Devil live. I got this at Walmart for like $10, like 10 years ago. This looks like it was burned off a bad VHS tape, but it's still pretty cool to watch.
No, it's a cool graphic.
Brad Gillis of Night Ranger.
Oh, okay, because it's a really cool graphic. I like it, actually.
This is Speak of the Devil. He plays all Black Sabbath tunes in here. The first two are amazing. Sympathy of the Universe and Snowblind and Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. So this is a pretty good live album.
Mm.
This is a remaster of Tributes with Randy Rhoads.
Do they have any extra tracks on those that were unreleased?
No, it's the same stuff.
Interesting.
It's just remastered.
Interesting.
It's like the record company always milks the, consumer. It's like, then there's another one and another one. Like the director's cut, final director's cut, final ultimate director's cut, things like that. This is the ultimate Ozzy.
Oh, yeah, I have
It's
that.
just sort of like a greatest hits kind of thing for Ozzy. And then you saw that. And this is the tour program. Let's see. There's Jake E. Lee, who just played at the Back to the Beginning, the Black Sabbath reunion thing,
Mm-hmm.
a few weeks before Ozzy died. And this, I'll show you this. This is Phil Soussan,
Wow.
the bass player, he wrote "Shot in the Dark." Or maybe Ozzy wrote the lyrics. Phil Soussan and Jake Ely both live in Las Vegas. I've seen Phil Soussan a bunch of times at a bunch of clubs in Las Vegas, like in the last 2 years. He is amazing. Right now, he's in like a Led Zeppelin cover band, and he's in a Dio band called Last in Line, and they do all Ronnie James Dio stuff. And then they came out with their own music too, and they're fantastic too. Vivian Campbell plays with them too. And oh, what else do I have? Songbook time, the Ultimate Sin songbook. They call this off the record. So it's like you've got tablature.
Right.
Some of it is extensive, and some of it's like, you know, not really that interesting, you know?
Some of them have
Then
drum
you've got-
tablature too. Does it have drum tablature too, or is it just basically keyboards and guitar?
This is all guitar stuff.
All
Now
right.
this is great. The Ozzy Osbourne songbook, and it's got 4 songs from Blizzard of Oz, the entire Diary of a Madman album. I ate this book up when I was a teenager, learning all these riffs from Randy Rhoads. This is the ultimate Randy Rhoads compendium. This is just great stuff right here. Then you've got I've got a separate original Randy Rhoads. These are all from the 80s, by the way.
Right.
You know. And then, you know, just got some stuff. See, it's falling apart, you know. Got some stuff from Randy. This is falling apart. Holy shit. Oh, wow. Well, that's seen its day. And one more thing here. The tribute songbook.
Do you go back to those every now and then? Do you ever practice scales or anything like that going back to it?
Pretty much. But sometimes what I'll do is I'll go on the internet and find the PDFs of this. So instead of like looking at this, like playing guitar, I'll just have it on my computer. Because a lot of this stuff is scanned. Look at this poster. Hold on.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is so rad.
I want to like frame it, but it's so nice in the book, you know. Like I don't want to like ruin it. This is called tablature. This is where, for those of you that don't play guitar, this tells you where exactly to put your fingers, like on the fretboard. But you know, you're right, Joe. There's sometimes like drum tablature. You know, like play it like it is drums or something like that. Yeah, but that's just all guitar. And Randy Rhoads is one of my biggest influences. Got me started playing the guitar. He is amazing.
So evidently, that's probably the reason why you figure that that's the high point of Ozzy Osbourne's career.
Absolutely.
Because it got you actually playing riffs.
Right. There are higher points as far as like his popularity, because when he was with Randy Rhoads, he was more like the former lead singer of Black Sabbath, who was just making his way in the world. And when he came out with the Ultimate Sin, that's where he became like very mainstream. And he was working with a producer called Ron Nevison, who at that time had done an album with Heart. Remember when Heart sort of like, their music was sort of like poppy and not like rock and roll?
Yeah.
Like Never, and What About Love, These Dreams. That's Ron Nevison. And then after the Ultimate Sin, Ron Nevison produced Kiss's album Crazy Nights, which is not a very good album, very glam type. But that was like the high point in the 80s for Ozzy. And then No More Tears, he was just like in the stratosphere.
Oh my God.
You know?
I love the video. I love the video. She's like literally drowning in her tears. I thought it was so creative. Osmosis was another one too I thought was pretty interesting. I think one of the reasons why Randy Rhoads was so significant to Ozzy is because it kind of recharged his career, I think. It kind of got him back on track.
Yeah. Because
he had left Black Sabbath. Now, is that
he was fired from Black Sabbath.
Now, is that when they got Ronnie James Dio, to join Black Sabbath?
Correct, yeah. And, you know, that version of Black Sabbath is amazing, too.
No, it is. I mean, the Mob Rules.
Hell, Mob Rules, yeah.
Yeah, I mean... But in terms of Ozzy, there's one thing that I want to try and just bring up, if you'll just bear with me.
Face Bursting with the Ramones.
Yeah, that's it. This magazine.
Special Stephen King issue.
Yeah, that's this guy right
Rock
here.
Videos Gruesome FX.
Yep. And it has like
What's the
from.
pull-out poster for the Twilight Zone?
Oh yeah, that's right. The rabbit, the crazy rabbit, crazy rabbit.
Oh, right.
Out of the hat. But one of the things from that article that I'm going to pull was something very interesting because I was just looking it over, and it's called "Makeup's Greatest Hits." I think Greg Cannon did the makeup effects to this. Ozzy wanted Rick Baker to do the makeup effects because he was a big fan of American Werewolf of London. And it says over here, one thing in particular that was interesting. During his 1983 tour of the U.S., Osbourne found his concerts were the target of a pressure campaign by church and parents groups who perceived the Oz, who perceived the Oz as some form of human devil. Animal cruelty and Satanism were regarded by these groups as a regular part of the act, which we know that that's bullshit, which of course they had never seen. Rob Hilburn of the LA Times reported on a meeting of one such group which had seen Osbourne's act after they had failed to stop it. The next morning, several of the concerned ministers gathered to hear a report on the show. Quote, "You know what bothered me the most?" one pastor asked. "He said, 'God bless you.' That's blasphemy." Now listen to this. Osbourne, a sincere Christian in his private life, was more than a little upset by these attacks by the clergy. Quote, "At first, all the satanic business was funny," he told Hilburn. "It bought me a lot of publicity when I needed it, but it has become like a nightmare. It's like an LSD trip. You take a tablet and it's fun at first, but you can't turn it off." Now, it sounds very similar to like with Alice Cooper in one concert that they had long ago. Somebody bought a chicken to the concert and they were up front and it actually got loose on the stage and he just hit it and it went back into the audience and the audience tore it up. So the headlines actually turned that into a sacrificial chicken on stage.
Yeah.
And I remember Alice Cooper called his agent and he said, "That's not what happened. This thing just came out of nowhere and they just I just shoot it and it just went back in the audience and they ripped the thing up." And his publicist says, "Well, hey, listen, don't knock it. It's going to make it popular." And I find that leads into one point I was thinking in that it's a blessing and a curse in this business, isn't it? Especially with Ozzy, because given who he really is and given what could help his career, even if it isn't true, it's a very fine line that can actually really be something hard to deal with, wouldn't it? Especially if it's not really true. I mean, he was just a guy that was really into rock, and he just basically did his thing, right?
I remember there's a photograph, probably the early 2000s. There was 4 people. I don't remember who one of them was. It was George W. Bush, Harrison Ford, and Ozzy Osbourne. And they're at some White House dinner or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it kind of made me think about what you're talking about, like, oh, he worships the devil, and now it's like he's taking pictures with, the President of the United States. I mean, even King Charles did something. They played Paranoid or War Pigs or something like that with, like, the Royal Drum Team or something like that. Like, the whole world was like, was saddened by this. Like, this is a big deal. Yeah. Like, I knew it was going to be a big deal, but I didn't realize, like, how much of a big deal. Like worldwide, like, the whole world is in mourning over his passing. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not just like, I'm a fan or you're a fan. Like, everybody's a fan of Ozzy.
Yeah. Very significant.
He's so far reaching,
Now, why do you think that is all of a sudden now? I mean, after all this time, what would you think, like, in particular? I mean, we're really into it, but
I just think that, even like when he did his show about like a month ago. Yeah, it was a month ago. Back to the beginning, his final performance on stage with his solo team and in Black Sabbath. It's like, we're not taking him for granted, Ozzy for granted, but it just shows that, like, really everybody loves Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, they raised $190 million, gave it to charity, Mm-hmm. He wasn't doing this for the money, right?
No, not at all.
He said even the last few years, I miss my fans. I want to go out there. I want to say goodbye to my fans. And that probably is what kept him going. He might have been dead sooner. He died about 2.5 weeks after that final show. And it was great from what I saw. They're releasing it worldwide next year in the theaters, I think.
Right. I mean, I could see, like, even, like, down the line, like, some kind of biographical film. Like, who would play him? That would be interesting. It just came to mind now. I think he even spoofed on it with the film Trick or Treat. you know, when he played the evangelist on TV.
Right.
And he just really rolled
Yeah.
with it. I think in a lot of ways, like people like him, like when they actually get those accusations, what they would do is use it in a way that would make them popular, and they would probably appeal to people that know better, which there are a lot more of those than people like these fanatics.
Joe, you tell me, what's going on in the world today?
Mm.
Do you think it's important that we focus that Ozzy Osbourne worships the devil?
Exactly.
Right?
No.
Oh my God! You know, this is what we need to be talking about, people. Ozzy worships the devil. You know.
Yeah, and you know, even when we were kids back then, we knew better, right? I mean, we pretty much knew that it was really he was just a guy in a band that really made it, you know, and he was an individual. I usually refer back to the Black Sabbath albums, the earlier ones, because of the band that I was in. We would always practice the first album, in particular NIB, but that's okay. Evil Woman, Beyond the Wall of Sleep, and The Sleeping Village. Yeah. That's what it was. That's
Wicked World.
Wicked World. And the reason why we used to practice it is because it started out like a jazz scat song. That is so fucking jazzy. And I was like, wow. You know, it's almost like
kind of a blues band in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, they were. They really were.
Look at the quality of that. Look at that.
But those are in such good shape. I mean, there's
Some of my stuff is trash, but yeah, this is in good shape.
Those are really in good shape. That's what I noticed. Do you have to refer to them as much now as in the beginning, or do you have it like in the back of your head?
What do you mean, these licks that I've learned?
Yeah.
They come and go. Like, I don't play them all the time, but like you kind of remember them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you kind of have a pattern. You kind of know how the scales go up and down. But here's the problem. It's kind of off the topic. So, again, this is called tablature, right? Mm-hmm. So somebody in the 80s took a record and like did it really slowly, moved it really slowly so they could like, you know, slow down their lick so they could write it down. But there's always different versions of tablature. So it's like, you know, one Randy Rhoads riff might be up here on the 2nd fret, and then someone else will publish the music, sheet music, and it'll be down here. Same notes, same sounding notes, but in different places. So it's interesting how someone's take, their interpretation. It's really like a translator, you know?
Right.
Like if you're translating the Iliad or the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, you know,
mm-hmm.
you know, something like that, where it's like, it's never going to be a word for word translation. It's like what the ear hears and what we think, and we write it down.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
so for me, sometimes I'll read two different sheet musics of like, say, Mr. Crowley, and then I'll go, wait, I think I did it better than this transcription or that transcription.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like having an ear. You know, it's like, I don't know if that's for drummers, but is it as important as a drummer to have a good ear? Is it kind of the same thing?
Having heard the album, I think the ear can actually, it could be a good thing if you just want to know the placement. And I think that with me, the drum tablature just fills in the blanks and it just tells me where it is. That is some awesome art cover work, actually.
And this is great. I mean, you can get tour programs now.
But that's pretty much...
This should be like $50, and it's like probably $5 back in the day.
Well, that's very
look
authentic.
At this. I'll show you this.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of this. This is the set list from when I saw them.
Are you serious?
I typed this up. Yeah, I typed this up. Nassau Coliseum, September 21st, 1986, 7:30 p.m. Look, even the page is like, you know, in good shape.
Now, you never really found that in those tour packages, did you? Sometimes you probably would. I mean, it depends on the band, right?
Well, no, back then, like, you had to take, like, a pen and a piece of paper, and you heard the song, you're like, that's Bark at the Moon. That's, you know, Rock and Roll Rebel. Mm-hmm. That's Crazy Train. And now you go to, like, setlist.com or setlist.fm or something like that, and it just breaks down the whole set list for you, you know, which is really cool. But back then we had to, like, write it down, you know?
It's funny, one of the famous stories that I heard with Black Sabbath in relation to the Eagles was a studio that they shared. Yeah, they both shared like this studio, a rehearsal studio. Black Sabbath really wanted the studio that the Eagles had because it was bigger and it had a lot more equipment. And after a while, they were really too loud. So the members of the Eagles actually told the manager, "Look, we had to go someplace else because they're playing too loud." So they leave, and then the manager comes and tells everybody in Black Sabbath, "Guess what? The studio is free." All right, let's go in. Oh, that's great. So when they came in, they found all the knobs of all the PA systems and everything were caked with coke. They did that much of it.
We can't hang with these guys. They do way too much coke. But think about the firing of Ozzy Osbourne.
Which is that's what I was just about to lead to that. Yeah, go into that.
Sharon Osbourne was interviewed recently, a couple months ago, on Billy Corgan's podcast.
Right.
And he's awesome. He interviews a lot of rock stars. And he asked her about that, and it was basically like, it was the drugs, but in their mind, the three other guys are like, well, but Ozzy doesn't play an instrument, and he's the front man. And this is like, from like bands like Black Sabbath to No Doubt, when you're in a band, usually the lead singer is the most important person.
Sorry about that. But I know where you're coming from. I mean, I could probably list the main singer of like Geddy Lee from Rush, but he actually played bass, but that's Rush, right?
When it comes to trios, it's a little different, like.
Given, being especially in films like Trick or Treat and the kind of reputation that he had, I think that he would have had to have been free to be on stage. And you want to just hear him. I never really had a problem with the fact that he never played an instrument. I never had a problem with the fact that Robert Plant never played an instrument,
I think he plays a little guitar now, but yeah.
I mean, there are exceptions. I mean, for me, when it comes to the lead singer, if you're somebody like Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull, or if you're like Geddy Lee, or somebody that could really do those things very well, then I think then I would be open to it.
A 2-record set on one compact disc. This is hot shit in the 80s. Okay, this is the original 87 release, and this is like a remaster from 2002.
Got it.
So, yeah.
Got it. There he is in all his glory. Bark at the
that's great. In all his glory.
Glory is gory, I guess you could say. This is I still was using dry medium, but I actually used a bit of ink, like acrylic ink. I mixed it in, and it actually has like kind of like a light grayish bluish tone at certain points. I took this from an image that I had found that really has depth. I was going to take the cover from Fangoria. I was going to basically do that instead. I think what I like about him theatrically, he's very theatrical. Bark at the Moon kind of signified what was happening with music videos.
Oh, yeah.
And
I mean, I just thought of this, is that Ozzy dressing up like a werewolf was about a year before the Michael Jackson Thriller video. Where he was also a werewolf. So,
Or a Catman, I think it was. They had wanted Rick Baker, as a matter of fact. Because Ozzy, like Michael Jackson, is a huge fan of John Landis's American Werewolf of London, Rick Baker was the first artist approached, but Baker was determined to take a hiatus from makeup work. Osbourne and company began combing the country in search of the right makeup man for the job, when one of their contacts recommended Greg Cannon, who headed the makeup crew for The Sword and the Sorcerer and had cut his teeth, lycanthropically speaking, as a key crew member of The Howling. That was Rob Bottin. He did the makeup effects to that. More recently, Cannon spent 7 months working with Rick Baker's effects crew on the apes of Greystork. That was Tarzan and the Legend of Greystork with Christopher Lambert, and has continued individual effects for Surf 2 and Dreamscape. Aside from that, one of the things I wanted to know was how many times did you see them in concert?
I believe 3 times. So I saw this tour in 1986.
Right.
I saw him play with Black Sabbath in 1999. All 4 guys, Bill Ward, Geezer Butler, Tone Iommi, and they ended the night. And I went with a busload full of people, and it was like a whole day thing. I think Static X was there, Rob Zombie was there, Deftones. I mean, it was like that late, summer '99, and it was so late, and they went on, and a lot of the people just wanted to stay in the bus. They were tired. I'm like, we're witnessing history, and they were great. But I'll tell you this: he said something that was just amazing. The show ends. They probably ended with Paranoid, and Ozzy goes, "We love you. Good night. If you're drinking, please give your keys to someone to drive you home." I'm like, wow, like that was like really like awesome. And that was in San Bernardino. And then the last time I saw him was, it's a club that's not there anymore, but it's in the Palms in Las Vegas. The
Right.
Pearl is where they have all the concerts, but there was this club that he played at in 2002, and Joe, it was so loud. It was just extremely loud in there. It was like too loud, and it was great. Ozzy's like, everybody go crazy. He was just amazing. Yeah.
Wow, really? I never got to see him in concert. I wish I did. But I actually remember, I think it was on Howard Stern when he had the E channel. And I think Ozzy Osbourne had come on, and I think that when he left, I think Paul McCartney was supposed to actually come on the show.
Oh, wow.
And the funny thing is, Ozzy Osbourne ran into him, and he was literally starstruck. He was like, "Oh my God,
I saw that. Yeah. Oh my God. You wouldn't think that was Ozzy. You'd think like that was me or you going, "Oh my God, Paul McCartney." I'll say 2 more things about the first time I saw Ozzy. One, the opening act on this leg of the tour, there was like 2 legs of the tour, was Queensryche. So I think it was like The Warning was their album at the time, 86. This was like 2 years before Operation Mindcrime. But on another leg of the tour, Metallica opened up for them. Could you imagine seeing Metallica like when they were just some opening band? I mean, that would have like split my head apart. I'm like, what am I seeing here? What is this? Because we were high school, like one had come out, But so Queensryche had opened, and as I showed you pictures before, Ozzy's bass player, Phil Soussan, who basically wrote "Shot in the Dark," which is like one of Ozzy Osbourne's most popular songs. Seen him a bunch of times live, and he's just great. He's just awesome.
I'm pretty
sure.
Does
these things. Phil Soussan does these things where he goes on like Instagram, like, "I'm going to show you how to play this song." It's really cool, Like I like when musicians do that. Like, I'm going to show you exactly how to play this bass line or this riff, which is really nice. Yeah.
When I really think back about Ozzy, I think that there's a certain mythos with his image, but I also believe that he just basically loved life. And I think he really loved what he did. I never really associated with him any kind of scandal or anything like that. He just did what he did. And I noticed he was the most carefree about it, I think. I never really saw any kind of controversy or any kind of... It was just the usual thing with like all these religious groups, and they would always,
He had a lot of fights with Sharon. There was something with Sharon.
Yeah.
A lot of things with Sharon. Well, this came out about 2001, I think.
Mm-hmm.
This came out like 10 years ago or something like that. This is just a DVD of a concert that he did after Randy Rhoads passed away with Brad Gillis on lead guitar. And then, of course, this is the actual... You can't get this anymore. This isn't on iTunes.
No, I can imagine.
I had to burn this like from CD player to have on my iTunes. Disgusting, right?
That is so fucking odd. It's funny because if I actually I have like MP3s that I would actually burn from CDs, and when I actually would play them on my iPhone, it would sound like something totally different, like a live version. It's like it's a studio version, or it'd be like some kind of new version. Yeah. And I always wondered why they would do that. Because it probably could have something to do with the legal ownership of it, I guess. But I never really could understand why I would get the different version of it. That's why, with the CDs and everything, for me, they're precious. They're very, very precious. They're very valuable, because that's what you remembered. And if you upload it or you burn a CD that you have that you can't get anymore, especially like, let's say, something from Ozzy Osbourne, if you actually play it on iTunes, you're going to find that they uploaded like some kind of a different, newer release of it, or maybe a live version of it somewhere that you never even knew existed. And I had never really
you can
understood.
go to like torrenting sites and maybe find stuff like this, but for me, I like to burn all my stuff like in the MP4 iTunes format.
I have
because you're right, Joe. Not everything you could buy on iTunes.
No.
And not everything is like, CDs are like, they're like ancient artifacts now, They should be in a time capsule, right?
Yeah, they should. I mean, I have, this is an MP3 player from Sony that actually has expandable memory on it. And
that's cool.
It actually, like I said, I have a disc that has like, I don't know, like about 150 gig on it. So, like, a lot of my CDs and even records that I actually had that I actually transferred, they're on here. And this is really where I listen to my music, because if I listen to it on iTunes, the same thing on iTunes.
Yeah.
They change it for some reason. It's funny. Robert Plant said in an interview in the early 70s that you can mummify the kids after a while in terms of radio. And this is the early 70s. Nowadays, is that No Rest for the Wicked?
No Rest for I think some of his kids are there. That's No Rest for the Wicked.
No Rest for the Wicked, right? Yeah. I wonder what the record probably has. I bet the record has something oversized like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a compact disc that we're looking at. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I have records that would have the touring package. They have the catalog in the form of like a one sheet that you can send away for stuff. And it's pretty cool and authentic if you have it now, especially if it's in good shape. Back there I have, I think, Book of Dreams from Steve Miller, and it has like a one sheet that has like T-shirts and whatnot that you could have gotten from his fan club at the time.
Yeah.
And that's like 1977, 78, I think. What do you think about, like, I love his voice.
I think Ozzy had a higher range than we actually thought. I mean, you talk about Black Sabbath, songs like Hole in the Sky. I mean, he's really hitting those. I'm looking through a hole in the sky. But I mean, like at the higher octave.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was singing some really, like, hard shit. Even on Diary of a Madman, he's, like, singing a lot of stuff. But as you know, when you record something and you could just, belt it out, 30, 40 takes and hit the note.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you play it live, you can't hit that note, on command. So you have to, like, lower everything down, your pitch, the song in a different key, lower key.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I actually always felt like, I didn't realize that until I heard Close Your Eyes with Lita Ford. And I was like, man, he has he has a really high range.
Yeah. And again, in the studio, you can do that. And he was younger. In Black Sabbath, he may have been 29 or 30 when he left Black Sabbath 30 or 31 in 1979. So in his 20s, he could hit those high notes. Because back then, they didn't, like, lower their pitch. Metallica will do, they'll play E flat instead of E, for example. But he could hit those high notes back then. But I mean, you get in your 30s, drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard, because I've heard a lot of, like, bootlegs in the 82, for Ozzy. He's just, it's like, it's hard to sing,
I mean, as a front man, I think, we talked about this before, but I think that by the time he got to his solo career, I think he really established himself as a front man. I mean, I think with Black Sabbath, he was just a component, even though he had very, very distinct qualities as a front man, I think.
Yeah. About him getting back together with Black Sabbath, because usually when that happens, the singer who is left and the band with a new singer, they both can't work. It doesn't work for the guy as the lead singer, and then they have to come back. Like, Motley Crue is a great example of that. Vince Neil couldn't cut it as a solo artist, and Motley Crue couldn't cut it with John Corabi with Hooligan's Holiday, so they had to come back together. With Ozzy, every time he came back to Black Sabbath, starting with Live Aid and then Ozfest in the 90s, the final tours in like 2013, they did the 13 album in, I think that was 2013 as well, up to like 2017. It was all by choice because Ozzy wanted to come back and do stuff with Black Sabbath here and there. It wasn't like his career's over, their career's over. I mean, without Ozzy and Dio, Black Sabbath did not do very well.
Mob Rules, I mean, it sounded totally different, but it's awesome.
Even the Dehumanizer album,
yeah,
back with Dio, was really good too.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that it's not any better or any worse than with Ozzy. I think it's one of the few times, probably the only time, where it was different. And it was very objective in that sense. I didn't think he was better or worse. And I think the only exception to the rule would probably be like AC/DC with Bon Scott. I always preferred them with Bon Scott, only because they sounded like an old-fashioned rock band that just turned their levels all the way up to 10.
Rock and roll band, yeah.
Whereas what I think with Brian Johnson, they were more production orientated, I think.
Yeah.
I think with it's funny, artistically though, with Black Sabbath, I think with Ozzy Osbourne, they had a very distinct rough sound. It was very gothic. Yeah. It was very dark. After Forever from Master of Reality, which, you know, a lot of people always celebrate. I think it's good. I don't really put it up there like the first album or like Paranoid.
I'm not a fan of Master of Reality. I mean, the best song is Into the Void.
Yeah.
But it's kind of seen as a classic Black Sabbath album. My favorites are Paranoid and Volume 4. Yeah.
I mean, probably Volume 4 is probably another one that I think with my band, we always used to bang that out. You know, there were so many other songs that Snowblind, you know, we used to basically play that sometimes. And there's a song on the B-side.
You have a great version of Snowblind on this album. Guitar playing is great on that, yeah.
That's how I actually drew the connections. But
go on YouTube, just put Ozzy Speak of the Devil and listen to the tracks. Some of them are really good. The first 2 tracks are just killer.
Well, a summation, okay? Ozzy Osbourne was somebody who basically was able to cross the bridge. Would you not agree? When it came to the Black Sabbath phase of his life, to the solo phase, no matter what it is, it was just a bridge, and he just crossed it, and he was his own person, and he didn't really get involved in any kind of social, political issues or anything. He did his thing, and he did it for the fans. And I think that that's probably the reason why when he would come out, it would be in such a human way, like you said with that concert. And he said, you know, everybody that's drinking, just make sure you hand the keys to somebody else. Or like when I talked about
great that he said that.
You know, there's so many things about his character that made you realize that it was persona and that he was really doing it for us. And that's one of the things that I've always liked. I love how imaginative and creative he was. I think for me, Fangoria-wise and horror films, I think that Bark at the Moon, I mean, especially Jake E. Lee with that kind of driving guitar rhythm and everything. I thought it was always very, very like different and very distinct. But for me, I think that he was a multifaceted individual who you didn't have to really define him. You enjoyed what he did. It was great. It was dark. It was gutsy. It was ballsy. It was him. What are your closing thoughts on him?
My closing thoughts are I love Ozzy. And I grew up with Ozzy. Basically kind of like my high school years all the way up to today, which was just a couple years ago, by the way. So Ozzy's been a part of my life, you know, and I love like most of what he did. I mean, we didn't even mention his reality TV show. That was a groundbreaking reality TV show. Many people, I've seen some of it. I'm not into reality TV at all. And then Gene Simmons kind of copied it with the Family Jewels.
Yeah.
Because his wife, Shannon Tweed, they have 2 kids, and they all live in, like, Beverly Hills, just like the Osbournes did. So, but, I mean, he kind of, like you said, crossed over to, you know, like another genre. Like, you know, he was like, you know, reality TV star Ozzy Osbourne. He's the Prince of Darkness, and he's picking up, you know, dog poop, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, in helping you with our guide through the 80s, we have actually just spoke about someone.
We miss you, Ozzy. We love you. Ozzy.
Yes.
Ozzy, there it is.
Ozzy. We definitely appreciate it, and he really contributed something to the 80s, and he really defined basically the music when it comes to hard rock, heavy metal, whatever it is, he just did his thing. And if you agree or if you disagree, please leave a comment in the comment section of this video. Like, not like, share, subscribe. But definitely,
Yes.
definitely remember that the 80s are still with us. And they've never left us, as the great John
God
Carpenter
bless
always
Ozzy
says.
Osbourne.
God bless Ozzy Osbourne. So we wish you all be well.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.